What's up guys? Welcome to this informational video. So if you want to start with calisthenics but you don't know how, then this video might be very helpful. Why? Because today we will explain how you can train with rings only. We will show and explain the 3 most important training topics to start with calisthenics for beginners, and we will show a full 12-week training program to get you started with calisthenics. So let's start this video.
So why should you consider to train with rings? Well, it's a very cheap option. It's only a one-time payment and you can train forever. Then, besides this, you can just train everywhere. You can hang these on a tree, on a goalie, on any bar you can find outside, or you can train at home. And at last, you can practice almost every calisthenics exercise with rings. So let's get started with the first topic to start as a beginner with rings, and that is training the basics.
Alright, so why should you start with calisthenics basics first? First of all, you should gain enough bodyweight strength. You should lay down a good foundation in order to prepare your body for more difficult exercises. Because you probably haven't trained before, so it's really important to get a good foundation by building enough strength, but also building enough muscle. So you should train in a relatively high rep range by doing the exercises with repetitions between 8 and 15 repetitions to prepare your body for more intensity. And by training these calisthenics basics first, you will also avoid injuries. So first, let me explain what the calisthenics basics are. The calisthenics basics are the push-up, the pull-up, the row and the dip. And these exercises can be done perfectly with rings. So let me show you how. So for example, if you start with the push-up, when you first start with rings, we would recommend to start the push-up with an inclined position. So you place the rings relatively higher than the regular position. When you're comfortable and stronger, you can lower the rings a little bit down to a regular horizontal position, or you can even bring your feet in the rings and do decline ring push-ups. So here you can clearly see how easy it is to adjust the exercise just with rings only. The same goes for the Australian pull-up or the bodyweight row. You can first start with the rings relatively high, so you do high ring rows. Then if you get stronger, you can place the rings a bit lower and you do low bodyweight ring rows. Once you get stronger, you can move on to the pull-up and the dip. First, when you start with the pull-up, you can start with negative ring pull-ups. So you jump up, grab the rings and let yourself down as controlled as possible until you can do regular pull-ups without the negative. The same goes for the dip. You can start with your feet on the floor and basically do bench dips, but now in rings. And when you get stronger, you can do the regular dips. So these were the basic calisthenics compound exercises which targets multiple muscles at the same time. But of course, you can also do more isolated exercises if you want to focus on more specific strength or build muscle in a specific area. By, for example, doing ring flies to focus on your rear delts, your shoulders, or do chest flies to focus on your chest, or you can target your arms by doing ring bodyweight bicep curls, or you can do the tricep extensions with the rings. And with this exercise, you can also do the rings in a relatively high stand or a low stand, depending on your own current level. So when training the calisthenics basics, the goals that you should strive for are at least 20 push-ups, 20 rows, 10 pull-ups and 10 dips before moving on to any harder exercises. So now let's move on to the second topic that you should be working on as a beginner if you want to start with calisthenics, and that is building a strong core.
Alright, so why should you work on a very strong core? First of all, the core is always involved in bodyweight training. Think about the push-up, for example, where you stand in a plank position during the whole movement. But also for harder skills, think for example about the back lever, where you need your core to lift your legs up to be in a straight back lever position. And the second reason is because the core is the connection between your upper body and your lower body. And this is really important to get strong and to progress fast with bodyweight training. So how to train your core with rings? Well, one of the most important exercise is the leg raise, because this targets the lower side of your abs, which is the most neglected part but also the most important part, because you will use this for static exercises such as the human flag, front lever and the back lever. When you first start with leg raises, we would recommend to do the knee raises, and when you get comfortable with this, with doing 8 repetitions, you can move on to the leg raises, and when this gets easy for you, you can move on to the toes to bar exercise. You can move on to the toes to bars by bringing your legs all the way up to the rings. So the leg raise is a dynamic exercise, but it's also really important to work on static exercises. And the best exercise to do with rings is the L-sit hold. So when you first start with this exercise, we would recommend to start with the tucked L-sit by bringing your knees in. Once you get comfortable in this position, you can do a one leg L-sit or even move on to the full L-sit hold. So these are 2 of the best exercises to strengthen your core, and the goal for these exercises are 5 repetitions of the toes to bar and 10 seconds of the L-sit hold. So this was the second topic to start with calisthenics on rings. Let's move on to the third one, and that is training the skills.
So when you meet the goals in the calisthenics basics and the core exercises, you can move on to practicing your calisthenics skills. It's best to wait with skill training and first build your upper body strength and core strength, because skill training goes a lot faster when you have upper body strength and core strength first, and also because skill training demands a lot of stress on your tendons and joints because of all the straight arm exercises which are probably new for you. So let us show you a few skills that you can train on rings. First, let's start with the muscle up. When you train the muscle up with the rings, it's best to first start with assisted muscle ups. You're basically going to practice the transitioning part of the muscle up, but now with your feet on the ground, by first doing a bodyweight row and then transition into a standing dip. Then you can move on to negative muscle ups by first bringing yourself into a dip position, and from there move down as controlled as possible. Hold the pull-up as well when you go down until you let yourself down into a dead hang position. Once you feel ready and you have combined enough pulling strength and muscle up preparation exercises, you can try the ring muscle up. Then let's move on to the static exercises, the back lever. When you start with the back lever in rings, it's really important that you first master the skin the cat. This exercise is perfect to get your shoulders ready of the mobility that is required for the back lever. Once you can do this, you can strengthen the back lever by doing the tucked back lever by bringing your knees all the way to your chest. Once you can do this for 20 seconds, you can move on to the one leg back lever. When you can do this for 10 seconds, you can try the straddle or the full back lever. And next to the back lever, you can also train the front lever perfectly on rings. Same as the back lever, you can start with the tucked front lever by holding the tucked position for about 20 seconds, then move on to the advanced tucked front lever, and when you feel ready, you can move on to the straddle front lever or even the full front lever. Next to these static holds, there are also dynamic exercises to strengthen these skills. For example, you can do front lever or back lever raises on rings. For the front lever raise, you basically start in a dead hang tucked position, and from there you pull yourself up with straight arms all the way to the top and go down, and repeat this for 5 or 10 repetitions. And with the back lever, you'll do the same, but now you start in a tucked back lever position and pull yourself all the way to the top. These exercises are really good to strengthen straight arm strength for these exercises. So now that we have covered the calisthenics basics, the core strength and also the skills, let's show you an example how you can use a full routine to start with calisthenics with rings.
Alright guys, so like we said before, you should first train the basics and the core before you're going to move on to practicing the skills. And we would recommend to do this for about 6 weeks. And a perfect routine to do this is a upper body, lower body split routine. And this is also the routine that we used, especially in the beginning. So on the first day, you're gonna do an upper body workout. So you're gonna practice the dips, the pull-ups, the push-ups, and the rows. Then on the second day, you're gonna train the core and your legs. And then on day 3, when you have 48 hours of rest between the first day, you're gonna train the upper body again. You can do the same basic exercise, but you can also add some isolation exercises. Then on day 4, you're gonna do the core and legs again. And on day 5, you're gonna do the upper body basics again. Then you can take the weekend off, or you can do some flexibility or cardio, and then repeat this whole cycle for 6 weeks. And then we're gonna move on to the next cycle where you're gonna practice the skills. So from week 7 to week 12, we're gonna have a different routine, and we're gonna split skill training from basics training. Because from our own experience, we noticed that it's most effective and most convenient to focus on skill training separately from basics, because you only have to focus on one specific training style. So on the first day, you're gonna practice skills and core together in one workout, and then on the next day, you're gonna do basics. So these are the pull-ups, dips, push-ups, and all the other variations. On the third day, you can do legs or cardio or take a rest day, and from day 4, you're gonna repeat the cycle again. So day 4 is gonna be skills and core. Then on day 5, you're gonna do basics again. On day 6, you're gonna do legs, cardio, or rest. And on Sunday, you're gonna have a rest day. So this was 1 full week of training, and you should do this for at least 6 weeks to see significant progress in your skills.
Alright guys, so this was our informational video on how to start calisthenics with rings only. So we hope this was helpful. Make sure to use all the tips and also to start implementing the routine that Yannick just gave you. And also guys, if you need a pair of rings, we have developed our own rings made especially for calisthenics, because these rings are with a slightly thicker grip than usual, which is optimal for calisthenics training. So if you want to get a pair, make sure to check the link in the description. And also, if you want a full training routine, a full training ebook with much more information about calisthenics, different training routines, different training styles, you can just download this ebook for free down below. So guys, that's it for this video. We hope that this was helpful. Make sure to put your thumbs up and also subscribe for more videos in the future. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.